Hallelujah. I welcome you once again to this broadcast with Jesse Onyeronwe Eziako, Marriage Lesson 316. I am here to share with you once again very important informations that will help you that are married, that will help you intending to go into marriage, for you to know how to navigate your marriage and navigate it well, for you to know how to have a exciting marriage, wonderful marriage, God's kind of marriage. There are some certain things you need to know. And this afternoon, or rather this morning, I'll be sharing a lesson with you how marriage works. How marriage works. Bible says, whatsoever your hand finds to do, he said, do it very well. Everything is work. There is nothing that is ever successful. There is nothing that is ever glorious. There is nothing that ever come out wonderful and beautiful and appreciated by many that did not involve level of work, level of commitment, diligence to make it work, to make it come out the way you want it to be. So before I proceed to give you the few lessons I have for you, I want you to see what the Bible said in the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 16 verse 19. And I will give you, this is Jesus saying, and I will give unto thee the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Listen again. And I will give you the keys of the kingdoms of heaven. I will give you the keys of the kingdoms of heaven. That key talks of informations. That key talks of instructions. That key talks of rules. That key talks of law. When you hear God saying, I will give unto you, I will give you an instructions, I will give you informations, I will give you rules, I will give you laws that will help you, that will make you to be successful, that will make you to command the kingdoms, that will make you to run this race and make it to the kingdom of heaven. I will give you. See, when you are going into marriage and you are the kind of persons that is not ready to play by the rules of the engagement, I want you to know that from before entering that marriage will fail. That marriage will fail. God said, I will give you the keys of the kingdoms of heaven. I will give you the informations. I will give you the instructions. I will give you the laws. I will give you the rules that when you obey, when you follow, when you run your home, when you run your marriage, based on that keys, based on those information, based on those instructions, if you run your homes, I stand to tell you that whatever you bind in your marriage, whatever you decide that it will happen in your marriage is what will happen, and whatever you decide that it will not happen in your marriage is what will not happen. So, but today, many things that we do not desire to happen in our marriages are happening. So many things that we do not desire to happen in our homes are happening. Why? Because we have left the rules, we have left the laws, we have left the path we ought to play. And that is why in these few moments I have with you, I want to share with you how marriage works. Number one thing, I want you to establish that marriage is a work. Marriage is a work. Marriage is a work. There is nothing like, it's not a magic. To have a wonderful marriage is not a magic. To have your marriage collapse within few years is not a magic. To have your children become nuisance is not a magic. And let me also tell you, it's not because the devil is powerful. The scripture said in Hosea chapter 4 verse 6, it said, for my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Everything that happens to your marriage, that happens in your marriage, that happens with your marriage is a function of what you know. And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The truth shall make you free. It's a process. And where we are coming from, Matthew 16:19, he said, I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. What is it? I will show you the truth that you need, the truth that will help you to make your marriage work and to make it work the way you want it. If you let go of that truth, I tell you, the opposite will be what you will get. Number one thing you must know, no marriage works outside God's instruction and rules and in commandment. No marriage, no marriage. The Bible said, and God made them male and female. And for this cause, say, shall a man leave his father and mother and be joined unto woman, and the two shall be one flesh. The two shall be one and no more two. And they were both naked and they were not ashamed. They were united. They see themselves. Marriage without God's instruction will not work. What is God's instruction for marriage? The husband and wife becomes one. What is God's instruction for marriage? There must be unity. There must be transparency. They must agree. Amos 3:3 said, can two work together except they agree? They must agree in times of faith. They must agree in times of value. They must agree in times of goals. They must agree in times of how they want to run their marriage and how they want to raise their children. Where there is no agreement, it will not work. Marriage outside God's instruction, God's rules, God's commandment will not work. So marriage works. Number one, marriage works when you run it according to God's instruction and God's rule. Number two, no marriage works in the atmosphere of strife and nagging. No marriage works in the atmosphere of strife and nagging. The scripture said in the book of Proverbs, it said it is better to live on the housetop than to stay in the house with a nagging woman. Where there is strife, where there is nagging, no marriage works in that atmosphere. As long as there is nagging, the marriage will not work. As long as there is strife, the marriage will not work. As long as there is hatred, the marriage will not work. As long as there is unforgiveness, the marriage will not work. I want you to know, like those who said, I can't take nonsense. I know if you cannot take nonsense, don't bother going into marriage, because marriage is a can of nonsense. It's an institution full with nonsense. So you must be ready to take the remove the non from the nonsense and keep the sense. And that is how marriage works. Also, you must know, no marriage works outside the atmosphere. No marriage works in the atmosphere of lack of adequate information before entering. No marriage works outside information before entering. What do I mean? What do you know about marriage? What do you know? Many enter marriage without knowing what marriage is all about. Many enter marriage without asking questions, without preparing for marriage. No marriage works in the place of ignorance. You don't know what is marriage. You don't know what God proposed for marriage. You don't even know why you are going into marriage. And you think that marriage will work that way. No marriage works in that way. Also, no marriage works in the atmosphere of lack of effective communication. All you do in marriage is communicate. Talk. Everything about marriage is talk. When you stop talking, the problem sets in. Talk. What is in your mind? Talk it. Did you hear what I said? What is in your mind? Talk it. Somebody said, what is in your mind? Talk it to your husband. Talk it to your wife. What is in your mind? Talk it to that girl. Talk it to that boy or that man you say you want to marry. What is it? You want to marry me? What kind of home do you want to raise? Where do you come from? What kind of family do you come from? What is your belief about this, about that? Get to know those things. If you don't know those things, you will enter there and tomorrow you will say, I didn't know it's like this. So it is better while you are courting, spend your time in communicating. Communicate effectively. Discuss your years to come. If we marry, how will this be? How will that be? If we marry, what is this and what is that? What is your take on this? What is your take on that? If we marry tomorrow and your parents come and my parents come, what is the take? What is that? What kind of children, how many children do you want us to raise? This is not time you enter marriage and say, when we get to the bridge, we discuss how to cross it. You may get to the bridge and even discover that bridge does not have even a bridge. That river does not have even a bridge. And where you are coming from, you can't go back. That means your life is at stake. It is important. Also, no marriage works in the midst of assumption. Assumption, they say, is the lowest form of information. Assumption, I assumed. Don't assume. You better let the person know. Don't assume. Assumption is the lowest form of information. I saw you at a mall greeting somebody. I assume it's your ex. I saw you. Somebody told him that he saw you at so place, and I assume that you have gone there to do this and gone to do that. That is why I acted the way. Don't assume. Have concrete information. Find out before you act out. I also want you to know No marriage built on riches can last or work. No marriage built on riches can last or work. I know some of you may be arguing this. For those of you people who have told you that without money, no romance, I am sorry for you. Does it mean that money is not important in marriage? Money is important. Money actually plays a very important role in marriage, and it is good for you to marry and have money. But before you go to marry or decide to marry, what plan do you have? What are you doing? What is your work? Have you put the necessary things, the necessary investment that will be able to yield money to you? And you also as a woman, what are you going? Are you ready? What are you going to offer that man so that he will not die untimely in the paying the bill alone? But if your aim of going to marriage is because of money, because of the riches, I am marrying this family because that man is a rich family. I am marrying this guy because he's a rich guy. I am marrying this daughter, this girl because their father are well-to-do. I am telling you, you are entering into modern slavery. And most of them, when you enter there, you discover that you will not even see the money, and then you'll be regretting. Marriage that is founded, built on money, on materialism, is not marriage, and it will not work. So I want you to know that marriage is a work. Marriage is a work. If you want your marriage to work, I want you to know, finally, don't have alternative. Don't have alternative. Let me start with the singles. You are dating a guy according to you, moving with a guy. And where are you heading to? What is the essence of that thing? Let's see. If it works out tomorrow, we may marry. You are dating 2-3 guys at the same time. In other words, if A does not work, the other one may work. I'm telling you, when you have alternative, no relationship can work, because with time you discover that your mind is divided, and with time you will find yourself in a fix, not to know the one to go with. And also, for those of you that are married and you have alternative, some people are married, their mind is still with their ex. Some people are married, their mind is still longing for another person's wife, another person's husband. And yet you say you are married, waiting for any day he misbehave, I'll just pack out and go back to that guy. Any day he behave, I'll just go and take a second wife. I love that girl, I've loved that girl, and so I'm just keeping her. When you have alternative wife, alternative husband, alternative girl, alternative lady, and you are waiting, if anything goes wrong, I will move out. No marriage works in the atmosphere of alternative. Part of the alternative, there's so many of you. A little quarrel between you and your partner, you move out of the house because you have where you can go and enjoy yourself. You have some friends that each time there's a little quarrel, instead of you to sit down and trash it out as a husband, instead of you to sit down and trash it out as a wife, you just move out. Go and hang out with some girls. Go and hang out with some ladies. Go and hang out with some guys. That is not it. And for those of you that are married and you want to have a wonderful home and your best friends are divorcees, I'm sorry for you. You are building a dangerous foundation. Before you know it, that marriage may collapse. As I round up, I want to remind you, want to build a marriage that will last? You want a marriage that will be exciting? You want a marriage that will be blissful? That marriage must work and must be laid on the foundation of God's instructions and God's will for your life. Anything outside that may collapse. May the Lord bless you. Thank you for listening. See you some other time.